husband. While we dare not lower our guard, we should not be paralyzed by needless fear. We are strong and secure. Joseph had told himself the same thing many times, but he refused to relax. Overconfidence is a greater weakness than fear and worry. We need to stay vigilant until we ride out this crisis. I know we will. We have advanced weapons and defenses that the rest of the Imperium can't even imagine. Her lips quirked in a smile. Defenses that are sure to give nightmares to Manford Torondo and his Butlerians. Joseph responded with a smile of his own. Together they watched 3 mechanical figures patrolling the spaceport perimeter, spider-like Climactic walkers taller than many of the buildings, fresh deliveries from his secret weapons laboratory on Denali. Climactics had once been the scourge of humanity, disembodied human brains mounted inside armored machine bodies. The original Climactics had been destroyed at the end of Serena Butler's jihad, but Joseph's brilliant scientists had redesigned and recreated them. Rather than being guided by fallible, power-hungry minds, these new Climactics were controlled by the evolved brains of navigator candidates. Now the mechanical guardians patrolled the area around the Kolhar headquarters, their pistons pumping and sensors alert for any threat. When Joseph commandeered a ground car, Sioba did not need to ask where they were going. Visiting the tanks of evolving navigator candidates had become a daily ritual for him, especially as tensions increased. As he drove, Joseph shook his head in dismay. Instead of being at each other's throats, Roderick and I should be working together to fight the real enemy. The Butlerian fanatics pose as great a threat to civilization as the thinking machines did, and the half Manford has warships of his own. Sioba lifted her chin. Those antique ships aren't enough to defeat you, Joseph. 140 old space folders dating back to the army of the Jihad. Think of your ships, of your monopoly on navigators, and your intensely loyal employees. More than half the planets in the Imperium depend on Venport for commerce, and they still trade with you, even though the Emperor branded you an outlaw. What does that say? She turned her classically beautiful face toward him, raised her eyebrows. You have more ships, more power, more influence than anyone, even the Corrinos. If people were forced to decide, would they choose some figure on a throne on far-off Seleucia Secundus? Or would they rather have regular shipments of food and spice? He knew she was right. Joseph guided the ground car over a rise and then down into a broad, bowl-shaped valley filled with hundreds of tanks, each containing one of his navigator candidates. Sioba leaned over and kissed his cheek as he halted the vehicle amid the sealed tanks. They walked among the thick-walled chambers full of concentrated spice gas, through the murky Plaz window ports and swirling fumes inside. Joseph could see mutated figures undergoing constant mental convolutions to expand their minds. No unmodified brain could grasp fold space calculations and the prescience necessary to guide a ship through the void, but the spice-enriched transformation made it possible. Joseph marveled at these freakish but oddly impressive navigators. Even if the Emperor's ships came for Kolhar, his military space folders would be clumsy and blind because they had no navigators, while antique FTL ships were relatively safe in their passage through space. They were unconscionably sluggish, taking weeks or months to travel between star systems. Venport ships, on the other hand, were fast and safe. He and Sioba paused before a large central tank on a marble platform, like a shrine. Joseph was pleased to see that Norma Senva, his great-grandmother, was present in the chamber, surrounded by her personal spice streams and the infinite possibilities that stretched far into the universe. More than a century ago, Norma had become the first navigator. Although she was more than a mere human, she still maintained contact with Joseph and remained aware of imperial politics for her own purposes.